Hey folks, back once again after a bit of a hiatus. That hiatus due to all the parts that needed cleaning on this 1902-1907 National Cash Register. 1907 because that was the year that it was refurbished by NCR and given an S designated serial number. So this was stripped all the way down to the bare chassis, and individual parts were then cleaned with a number of different steps, with using Redzilla, sandblasting with a very abrasive media, followed by different levels of polishing, followed by different levels of glass bead blasting. And I hopefully think you can see the effect, like on the edges, extreme edges of any surface, you'll see a very high polished, almost a mirror finish polish. And then towards the center of pieces, you'll see the bead blast. But I'll go over the individual sides and show you some of the highlights. I thought one of the coolest things was the base on this particular register being an all brass base, and how that came out. The brass came out extremely clean, and everything functions as it should, including all the locks, bells, and whistles, literally the bells. So I'll take you around each of the sides and show you what those look like. This obviously is the front, with the top lifted and the what's called the lid above all of the gears, which came out extremely well. The wheels and the numbers for cash sale, the wheels and the numbers for resetting the register to numbers of transactions back to zero, as well as the lid counter, which is in the center there, and functioning. So every time the lid is lifted or activated, that little stud there on the brass rail will push the lid counter and increment it by 1. So another thing to note, I don't know if you guys remember the marble being broken in 2 places. So that marble there was technically 3 pieces at one time. I have a video out there on how I glued it, and it's been resurfaced or sanded and polished, not to a high gloss, but to blend in the breaks. And the rosettes there are actually kind of unique because they don't screw in from the top, they actually screw in from the bottom, and they have a cutout in the stone to fit the brass shaping of the rosettas. They're not all the way around, they have got a cutout to only sit in that stone one way. So I thought that was kind of cool. But the inside, that's the original velvet that came with it, and everything else again a nice high polish all the way down to the screws as well as the hinges. Register, both of those key locks for numbers 2 and 3 turn and work. One of them is to lock the keys, so you can't operate the register, and the other is for the bell to disable or enable the bell. And I've located a clock, an original clock, that at some point I'll be also restoring and installing on this particular unit to finish it off. But it's got a very nice look and attention to detail with almost all the screws there. Side with the printer drawer, most of the printer parts look to be there. There's a knob that is missing that I still need to hunt down, and now that most of this is finished, I will look for that, as well as putting the finishing touches on all of the remaining screws that still need to be installed, so that everything has a nice look to it. About the view the customer saw standing at the cash register waiting to pay for their merchandise. Again, everything came out quite nice. I did not do anything in terms of refinishing the tags. The numbered tags that correspond to the dollars or cents, but anything brass was cleaned and polished. Up of what the marble looks like. If you recall on the original video, I think there was a whole lot of tainting right here that a lot of the polishing took out. And the inside, and I have the bell turned off right now, the inside also came out quite nice, and I thought I'd show off the coin box, which actually locks. Put a gold coin in and an old piece of paper that came with the register that I picked up. But I thought that was a nice touch, that you have a way to lock gold coins from prying hands. So that is essentially it for right now, until I get the clock working / in my hands to do any restoration. But came out quite nice.